Welcome to Waiting on the Trade, a monthly comics book club for people who can't keep up with monthly comics. I'm Matt Ledger.
I'm Patrick Fitzgerald Fleck.
And I'm Tyler Marifke.
This month, we're talking about Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 2016 team-up between the Dark Knight and the Heroes in a Half Shell, written by James Tynion IV, illustrated by Freddie Williams II, and colored by Jeremy Colwell, the presumably first.
Nice.
So in case y'all need a refresher, Batman TMNT is somehow the first team-up between these two juggernaut franchises, and it catapults the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles into the strange, mean streets of Gotham City, where they have to team up with Batman to take down Shredder and return to their own world. And it's got everything you want. If you've done this team-up like with your action figures in the 90s, you basically made this book.
Which I did.
You did?
I did.
Okay, so that's a good first question, I guess, Tyler. First, welcome back to the podcast, etc., etc.
Hi.
But were you a big Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles guy, Tyler?
I still am. I absolutely still am. I loved the Turtles. I have a bookshelf out in my hallway that is dedicated solely to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles merchandise.
How did I not know this?
I don't know. Yeah, I love the Turtles. And, I never really got into the comics, though, which is kind of the weird thing. I was the cartoon turtle kid, you know what I mean, in the movies. I have the most elusive action figure set that was the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive that came out in 2018. I spent way too much money on it. I was debt-free at the time. And then I saw it at a shop in Minnesota called Nerdin' Out in Rochester, Minnesota. Shameless plug for a pretty great little collector shop. And I saw it as we were leaving. They had it above the door, and I went, well, guess I'm going to spend some money today. But, I love the Turtles, and I had tons and tons of action figures as a kid and had some Batman ones back then, too. Thanks to the ever-craptastic movie Batman Forever, I think it was. And did this team up, I'm sure, as a kid, playing with action figures, I'm sure.
But you didn't get to do Polar Bear Mr. Freeze, Snake Joker.
I have questions about that when we get to it.
Okay. No, I think I had a pirate-themed Two-Face. That was about the closest thing I got to.
I remember that action figure, I think.
And fencing Batman. But I love the Turtles. So this was kind of, I know the past two times I've been on here, I was always make mine a Marvel and always suggested Marvel stuff. I kind of wished I saw the looks on your faces when I was like, hey guys, how about we read a Turtles comic with Batman involved?
Does he know what Batman's from? Oh my god.
It's two wrong universes.
Neither one of those is Marvel at all.
No, I was pumped because I'd already read this a couple years ago, probably a couple years after it came out, but I found it in the library and I was like, oh yeah, I'll read that because I really like the writer, James Tynion, and picked it up and I had a blast reading it then. I had a blast reading it this time. It's just a fun book. And I was thinking about it kind of in comparison to the last team up we talked about on the podcast, Pat, the Nancy Drew Hardy Boys one.
Yeah.
And I feel like this one doesn't really have huge twists to it either, right? It's basically, if you were here's Batman, here's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, here's the story.
No, it goes exactly where you think it's going to go.
It's mostly what you expect, right? But it's executed a lot better. And I wonder if you agree, because we haven't talked about this one yet off mic.
Well, I don't think it's a fair comparison, at least for us, because we don't have the background of Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys.
Fair. I'm going to take Jono at his word on that one, though.
Yeah, it felt like Jono got a lot more enjoyment out of the nostalgia of rereading those than we did. And I feel like that's some of what we're getting by reading Batman and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So, yeah, I mean, I had more fun with this for sure, but I don't know if that's just because I know these properties a lot better than I know Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys.
Pat, are you also secretly a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles guy?
I'm not a super fan.
Are all my friends Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles people and I didn't know?
I appreciate them. The one thing that I can say, the arcade game for sure is where I
Yeah.
got a lot of it. And then the third live action Ninja Turtles movie, Turtles in Time, I probably like destroyed that VHS tape the amount of times I watched that thing. Not so much the first and second one. I don't know why. I just liked them going back to feudal Japan and doing turtle stuff.
That one was definitely, I think, the most campy of the three.
Heck yeah.
It holds up, don't get me wrong. Like, I enjoy all three of them.
It's like Star Wars for me. It's always about Return of the Jedi and Turtle in Time. I think there's a correlation there.
At least didn't say episode 1. No. Yeah, I think, Matt, I think everybody loves the Turtles in some extent. Like, everybody has to have some connection to them.
Matt, are you not a turtle guy?
I mean, I am, but like not. I think so. For me, I feel like it was a little too late for the like '80s cartoon, which my brother had a bunch of action figures from that, but like they were all his. Like my stuff was all Batman stuff.
Sure.
And then that Fox Kids TV show. I don't know if you guys remember that. It was like live action.
Yeah, the live action version.
It was okay.
And they introduced the female turtle.
Yeah, Venus de Milo.
Yeah, if you really want to have a cool history of the Turtles, actually watch on Netflix the Toys That Made Us episode on the show Toys That Made Us. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but they cover the Turtles very, very well, and it goes into the TV and movie properties quite a bit, not just focusing on the toys and the comics. So it gives you a pretty good history on that. But yeah, just so you know how big that live action series really changed the Turtles' whole course of their future.
Was the series before the movies, or the movie come out and then the series kicked off?
I think all the movies were before the series, but
Okay.
I'll look it up to be sure when we post this. Or Tyler might know.
I think Tyler has us both beat because I don't think I had action figures. I just liked the arcade game, and I liked that one movie.
It was comics, cartoon, movies, and then it went back to the series again. But yeah, I still have all my figures back at the Ma and Pa's place, so they exist still. I still got them.
Of course, can't throw those away. Come on. I
think the Turtles adaptation I actually liked best before I realized that they were comics Turtles. Like, because I don't know if you guys had this too when you were kids, but like I didn't even realize the Turtles were comics until like
no, I had no idea. Somewhere
in the mid '90s, at least, if not the 2000s.
Yeah, I always thought it was cartoons first. I really did, and I, went back into looking at the history of them as I got older, and went, wait a minute. What's this black and white, super violent,
really serious?
comic books
like Sin City and X-Men spoof at the same time.
Yeah, and I didn't realize it was, two guys sitting in their apartment drawing comics, hoping to make it big time. So, it was a shocking history to go back and read about them for sure. But I like this iteration of comic book Turtles a lot. I think this book itself captures each of their personalities better than some of the new movies have, or some of the TV shows have, I think.
Well, I think we're obligated to ask the question that needs to be asked. And what is your favorite turtle? Which turtle is the turtle for you?
So everybody says Raphael.
Who the fuck says Raphael?
No one on this podcast apparently is going to say Raphael.
I'm gonna bet that we all have the same turtle. I'm just gonna throw it out there.
Okay.
I was going to say Tyler. Everybody is me. I'm everybody. Raphael was always my favorite because he.
Okay, well, never mind. I take it back.
Yeah. Now,
I got
he's definitely the hothead of the group, and kind of wants to do his own thing, but he always points true at the end, and will literally do whatever it takes to help out his brothers, and you can see that a lot. Oh, not a lot, but in this comic for sure, it kind of points to that. As I've gotten older, I appreciate the other three for their definite character traits. I think Donatello is portrayed really, really well in this comic, and spoiler alert, the next one. And Leonardo's like leadership role and the way he steps up when he has to. And of course, everyone loves Michelangelo just because he's fun. But I think the most interesting of the four, is for sure Raphael.
All right, Pat, who's your favorite turtle?
Oh, of course it's Donatello. Of course it is.
Oh, okay. See, we're gonna say 3 completely different turtles.
No, I know. Oh, I should have guessed it because, of course, Leonardo was a fucking Cyclops. And you're like, you know what? He's pretty cool.
Yeah, actually.
God damn it.
Yeah.
God damn it.
It should be very telling, Tyler. I'm not gonna like spoil it for you because I know you haven't read Volume 3 yet. But like, I've read the first few pages of Volume 3 because there's like a preview of it online.
Okay.
And so the turtles get mixed up with a different set of Batman characters.
Oh.
And it's very telling which one Leo gets mashed up with.
Sure. Yeah, I can't wait to read the third one. I don't know why I haven't done it yet. I've had all 3 of them at the same time. I just haven't got around to it. But yeah, definitely. I'm not surprised by either of your picks. I'm surprised nobody thought I was going to say Michelangelo.
I kind of thought you might say Mikey, actually.
I feel like Mikey is fun, but unless you're like 8, he's not your favorite.
Yeah.
Is that fair? I don't know.
No, I get what you're saying for sure.
Yeah, I would agree with that. He's the comic relief.
Yeah.
For sure. But I just think Raphael's always had the best arcs in anything that they've done. I mean, this one kind of...
He's got the edge.
Yeah, it kind of rips off the movie a little bit in the fact that he goes lone wolf.
I mean, I was kind of like, I don't know. I was pumped that it managed to sneak in.
Trench coat.
Stomps off in a trench coat. Yeah.
No, that was I geeked out at that moment. I was
always
like,
gotta have it.
It's the obvious turtle disguise. Trench coat and fedora.
But I think touching on what you said earlier, Tyler, I think I've seen a decent number of Turtles comics where artists don't go out of their way actually to like differentiate them enough. And I think Freddie Williams does a really good job in this of like playing into each Turtle's personality, like in the way they move and like in the way Tynion plays into it in the way they talk too. But like even just having all the different masks on each turtle, like I'm looking at the action figures you bought from the movies, right? And like each turtle has the same mask and they're just different colors. And I'm looking at the page where the turtles like first appear in the comic, and like you can tell which one is which basically just by looking at the outlines of their masks, even if the colors weren't in those panels. Like you could at least tell who's Raph and who's Mike.
I mean, Raph for sure. Yeah, he's got the edginess. It's torn on the corners.
So like Donnie's got that little gap in his teeth to like let you know he's Donnie.
No, for sure. That's always been like the thing. Like, how do you differentiate them? Like 4 turtles, and even the cartoons, they basically just had the colored masks different, and I don't know, a little bit different shades of green. This one does it a little bit more, where each one has a little bit of a different shade, but nothing too extreme. But yeah, I don't know. They do an awesome job with the way that they stand, the way that they're moving, the way the masks look. Everything about the way they animate the turtles gives each one their own unique flavor.
Were you guys as disturbed as I was when Raph took his bandana off
At the end?
Yeah. I was not prepared for that. And it oh god, no.
So I wasn't, but the one Turtles comic I owned when I was a kid, I couldn't tell you like what issue or series it's from, but like it was a black and white comic, and in it was just like it might have been Donnie. I think it was Donnie. It was just running around in black and white in like some sort of meadow or something. I have no idea what this comic was about, but he didn't have his mask on the entire time, and I was like, "What is this comic book? This is not a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic book." Take it back. Give me my money back.
It definitely looks different. I mean, it's a cool moment, but especially because they talk about earlier, like one of the jokes where, well, you think he's cool because he's wearing a mask? You're wearing a mask. That's different. And he knows that that's it's honoring a tradition and all that, and then gives it to him. It's cool. It's a cool moment, but yeah, definitely without it, how suddenly he has pupils.
And like his eyes are like slightly watering. He's like, "What is happening?"
Raph doesn't cry.
Yeah, so that part's a little weird. Like, where do the pupils come from? Those masks aren't that.
Right?
I mean, that's the same as a Batman mask, though, right? Like, there's a reason all the movies have Batman with eyes, and it's because you can't actually recreate that in real life.
Right. To build off the art, because I feel like we're focusing so much on the turtles. And this is a question, I guess, for you two guys. Because I never read a Batman comic in my life. Was this more of a Turtles comic or a Batman comic?
I mean, it's probably more of a Turtles comic, but I think it does a decent job of balancing the two.
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect. I feel like it, after reading the second one, I think the second one is more of a Turtles comic because it's just ridiculous and classic comic book nonsense. But this one I feel has got more of the point A to point B kind of Batman stuff, but I don't know.
I mean, I get that, like, because they're in Gotham in this one, and then they're in, like, the Turtles version of New York in the next one, right? So, like, this is the Turtles in Batman's playground, and the next one's Batman in the Turtles playground. So, like, that makes sense to me.
I also, speaking on art, I love all of it. Even Batman, I think looks great.
Nah, he's so big, though.
He's a hefty Batman.
He's
Yeah,
thick in this comic.
but I don't know. Agree, disagree here. But the person who steals the show, art-wise, Shredder, straight up. Looks like a uber menacing badass every time he's on the page. Yes, no.
Pat?
I like Splinter. I like how they did Splinter in this.
I actually agree. Like, I think the Splinter design's pretty darn cool. Like, Shredder's always super menacing when he shows up, but like the Splinter design and the way like his mustache like folds into the rest of his fur or whatever is pretty cool.
No, I agree. I don't know why, but I just, I think of Shredder kind of the cartoon way where he's always being foiled in cartoonish ways or whatever. And then this Shredder shows up and I go, okay, this is the way Shredder
mess you up.
Yeah, this guy's gonna mess you up indeed.
He actually like very much reminds me of how I feel when Bane shows up in a Batman comic and the writer like knows how Bane is supposed to be treated. Where like when Bane shows up, you're like, oh, he's gonna mess you up.
Yeah, right. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is gonna be hardcore. Yeah, no, I all the art in all this is thoroughly enjoyable.
So do we want to walk through the plot a little bit and hit some of our favorite beats? We don't have to do like a scene by scene or anything, but just kind of a...
Heck yeah, it's what we do, right?
I mean, it's very much a fist pump comic, right? So if a scene made you pump your fist, let's talk about it.
Pat, you can go first on this one.
Oh, well, okay.
Because I'm curious.
What my first fist pump moment was?
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever pumped my fist. I'm going to be honest.
Pat.
Oh, no.
My fists remain pumpless.
Did you chuckle to yourself knowingly?
I have a question for you guys.
Okay.
I need you to clear this up.
Okay.
How does one fight like a detective?
He's studying you. He's analyzing your moves, man.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
See, that made me fist pump, Pat. We're on different ends of the spectrum here.
He fought like a detective. That like opens the door to like, okay, what other careers can you fight like? He fought like a marine biologist.
Well, when you put it like that, Pat, it doesn't sound as rad as it definitely is in the comic.
I burst out laughing on that. I was like, oh, Leonardo, you are so crap.
Oh, come on, Pat.
I'm on Team Matt on this one. I thought it was cool.
He fought like a detective.
He's studying their weaknesses, figuring out their limitations, so that he can beat them later on when they inevitably have to fight.
Again. Right.
Mm-hmm.
That time he won't fight like a detective. That time he's going to fight like a superhero.
And fight like Shredder.
Right.
All right. I'm just saying, if someone starts fighting like an actuary, I'm out. I'm out.
Oh my god, he calculated
Not going to mess with that.
the exact amount of time it'll take for me to fall dead of exhaustion.
Oh, God. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, that jumped like halfway through the book. So maybe one of you should start.
All right, Tyler, you start. Do your book.
Yeah. Fist pump moment. Gosh, there was a lot of them. I mean, even the first reveal of the Turtles, that color splash like we talked about earlier, I love how that kind of harks back to the video games. Like, that looks like the video game selection screen.
It really does.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I saw that, I was like, yep, this is great. The initial fight with Batman is pretty great. That scene where they're all gearing up to fight, and the Batman saying, "You're welcome to try," was awesome. It's a lot of it is early on. The Shredder scene where Penguin's telling him, "You haven't fought my men," and he just goes, "I don't care."
That's a good splash. Yeah,
best page in the whole thing, in my opinion, is that page right there. Casey Jones, when he shows up, that was a fist pump moment.
I've never really understood Casey Jones.
Yeah, I've
He's
never been a
just
big Casey
dude,
Jones
right?
guy either.
Like, he's got a hockey mask. What's his deal?
He's the opposite of Batman. He's a dude who wants to do right but has no money, buys all his stuff from Goodwill, and then beats you up with it. So I guess, I don't know. I'd have to probably dig a little bit more into why he does what he does, but I think he's just a vigilante who wants to see the world done right. But like that moment when he comes through the portal and shows up, that's the second best page in the whole damn thing. And I was like, heck yeah, this is great. Of course, he gets it handed to him, but those were like the big ones. Robin fighting Mikey and Don, that was fun. There's some good stuff, but yeah, those are pretty much my big fist pump moments. Oh, and Batman versus Shredder. How could I forget?
The Batman versus Shredder page that has like 21 panels of fighting on it is
in the background.
My favorite page in the book, probably.
It's really cool how they do that. And again, it's just another moment where you're just like, yeah, this is great. Why didn't they do this sooner? I like that fight more than I like the Turtles versus Raj by a long shot.
Yeah, which makes sense. I mean, like, I don't know. Raisha's not like as big a villain as Shredder, so like it's a big deal when you fight Shredder, right? Like it's a little bit less of a big deal when you fight Raisha. Like there's 4 of them, they should win.
Right. So is it Ra's al Ghul or Ra's al Ghul?
We have a difference of opinion on this podcast.
It's Ra's al Ghul.
Okay.
Yep.
Is it milk or milk?
No, Mike and Frasier, it's Roz.
Bagel or bagel?
Yeah, no. When the turtles show up with Commissioner Gordon, that's another fun part. There's just a lot of just cool, like I always call it, comic book nonsense.
I mean, if we're going comic book nonsense, I think the full page panel of all the Arkham inmates transformed into animals is pretty fun.
Okay, I was gonna be like, I was worried, Pat, that you might not think that was rad, because it is rad, which means you'd be wrong if you didn't think it was rad.
I think it's fun. I have questions about how that works.
I really love how Williams played like the reveal of the penguin being turned into a penguin, where like he's in the shadow and you can obviously tell something's wrong because of his silhouette. And then the actual panel of him like being a monster is pushed forward of the other panels to like put it in your face of like how like that's where the book is like, okay, we've done all the things you expected us to do. Now we're gonna go for it.
Oh, you forgot this was a comic book.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I thought it was a Batman comic first. So obviously, when we kind of break up the plot a little bit more, we'll go over it. But I thought this is a Batman comic that features the Turtles until that point, because the Turtles universe is filled with villains like that. That is their entire core concept, is mutagen turns you into whatever animal either represents your personality or...
Oh, is it? See, this is my question. We're getting there. Yeah, closest to you is what I thought, because there were turtles next to the mutagen that turned the turtles into...
So that's normally what it is, but then there's a few of them that it was more personality driven. Okay.
I was going to say, did they like break a zoo and bring it to the Arkham and then like...
Well, and that's what
all those animals make sense for those villains, though, in a way that's lovely.
Bane as an elephant
was fantastic.
He's not wise. He doesn't have a memory.
Bane is super wise. He's like a master strategist.
Like, you should probably read the second one. You'll see why.
Okay.
But no, like, Mr. Freeze as a polar bear was fantastic. Bane as an elephant was fantastic.
Mhm.
Ivy as a mantis, fantastic.
Sure.
Fox, Riddler as a fox, just
Is it a
great.
fox? Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
it is.
Because he's clever.
Never like fox. The one, and this is going to be probably where we disagree. Maybe the Joker as the snake was the best idea, worst look.
Well, it's not even. It's like a Komodo dragon. I don't know what that thing is.
Is that what it's supposed to be?
No, it's supposed to be a snake, but they're like, oh, he needs arms and legs. Okay, well, okay.
Like, and they hype him up a little bit earlier in the comic, which is a fantastic scene in and of itself.
Well, it's a Batman comic, so you got to have some Joker in there.
Did you guys notice that the only two characters that get like different lettering styles of this are the Joker and Michelangelo?
Yes. And the Joker makes sense because you always kind of read him different in
the Joker's had that weird lettering since I think since they switched to the New 52 in 2011, and I'm kind of sick of it, honestly. Like, I'm kind of sick of making the Joker such a big boogeyman that he somehow has a completely different vocal structure than everyone.
Matt. He's deranged.
Anyways, that's neither here nor there. I don't think anyone in this comic had a choice about that, honestly. I think that's just like what DC does for the Joker now.
My question is, Hyena seems to be the clear choice for a Joker, right?
No, Hyena should be what Harley is.
Harley was a hyena.
She's not a hyena.
I was gonna say I couldn't tell whether she actually was one or not, but
She's
that
like
should be what
a
she
dog.
is.
She's just like a normal
Hyenas are
dog.
a form of dog, right?
Thank you. Yes, but I don't know. Snake doesn't really fit Joker that well. I agree.
He's got the venom though.
But yeah, like, he's a snake with claws. I don't freaking get it. But Harley definitely looks more hyena-esque in that first opening one. But when she gets kicked in the face or whatever, she does look like a dog. I don't know. I like them all. Other than, like, I also don't get. Why is Two-Face a baboon?
Yep.
That one I don't get.
Yeah,
why is the Mad Hatter here? Is another question I have. And why
Wait,
is the
what?
Mad Hatter got turned into a March Hare?
Is that what he is?
Yeah, March
That
Hare.
makes sense. And who's the dude with the puppet?
Oh, it's Scarface and the ventriloquist, my friend.
And he's a parrot, which makes sense. Except they forgot to color him in the next page, which makes me sad.
One of the best lines in the whole comic is, "Where's that weird bird with the parrot? I'm going to hit him with nunchucks." It's pretty great.
I do love how the turtles are just like, yeah, this is kind of our jam. We got to help that guy. Like, he can take all the ninjas and even the normal Arkham inmates, he's fine. But now they're animals, so like we got to go help because this is turtle shit.
You want cool, child? I'll give you cool. Oh man, you've got the lines down and everything. A+, good job.
See, I'm trying to figure out like what my overall turtles ranking is, and Mikey might actually be pretty high up these days. In that he's just a joyful fellow, and I will take that.
Well, and of course, the running gag of everybody telling him to focus every time there's a fight.
Yeah. But I mean, that's just like how Raph mentions April and Casey in like 3 out of 6 issues.
Oh my god, I wanted to shut up. We have people who need it. They're gonna die. Casey's gonna die and April's gonna die. Man, they're gonna die, you guys. We gotta get back to them. Like, shut up, Raph. Shut up. Good lord. I'm sure there's other people who are going to die if Krang takes over, but you don't care about them. You just care about your girlfriend and your best friend.
Yeah.
That sounds like Raph.
Sounds about right.
But they're going to die, you guys. I can't believe you've forgotten about them. Shut up, Raph. Shut up. Go get a trench coat and walk in the rain.
He does.
And he does just that.
He will, Pat.
Oh my god, does he ever?
Yeah, there's a couple on the nose things that I think get repeated too much or like beat up in this comic that aren't villains. That is one of them. And of course, it kind of all goes out the window when Casey shows up anyways. You're like, oh, well, cool. This portal definitely works. So I guess it's not that big of a deal. And this is happening the week of Bruce's parents being killed.
Yep.
I think that's a little on the nose about this being like, we're here for family. I get it if you didn't know anything about Batman and you
Yeah.
were solely a Ninja Turtle fan, but everyone knows the Batman story.
Yeah, what did you guys think about Batman explaining to Raph, like literally going to the spot where his parents, this is where they died. This is why I
See,
do
I
what I
really
do.
like that scene, and I think it's kind of what makes the book hang together more than a bunch of fist pump moments. Is like, sure, you can do the action figure mashup where they just all like team up and fight together, and there are a bunch of villains, and then the villains become animals, right? But like at the core of the characters, there's a lot of similarities too, and I think that scene with Raph, where Batman explains that like part of what being Batman is sort of remaking himself into a person who can protect other families and also has a family again, is actually like really cool. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of my favorite Batman writers get about the character is like he's not just there to punch people in the face, he's there to punch people in the face for a reason, and also like he uses it as a coping mechanism to like become a semi normal human being again, if that makes sense, as much as a human being in a bat costume can be a semi normal human being.
I get that, but I prefer it as subtext. Like my Batman wouldn't open up about that so freely.
See, but like your Batman needs to feel more, Pat. He needs to be less Robert Pattinson and more Adam West.
Oh my god, I'm ready for that My Chemical Batman. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, I don't know. That was kind of my thing with it. It definitely helps. That part helps move the story along better than the I guess it's the leading up issue. This, if there's one thing that I really dislike about this trade, is they don't break it up at all. Like you have no idea what the issues are.
Yeah, it is kind of rough when you like hit. So as a person who kind of knows like the structure of a single issue, like I could tell when I hit a cliffhanger for the end of an issue, and I could tell when I hit the opening page of a next issue. I think if you gave this to someone who has read far less comic books, they'd be like, why did it just jump forward in time?
Right. Yeah, there's a few that definitely you can tell, like definitely the Shredder and the Casey Jones and the couple other of the reveals. Those are for sure last pages of comic books, right? But I guess in the previous issue to that part, the portal gets blown up, right? And the Turtles lost, like, and Batman lost, like, and it's a pretty heavy moment because they all realize, oh shit, we're screwed. And then the next comic is Alfred carrying 30 pizzas and Mikey skateboarding and Batman eating pizza and kind of them joking around and stuff.
Yes.
When you're like, okay, wait, what's going on here? Shouldn't this be a little bit more urgent? And that's where the Raph storyline takes hold. So I get it from that point of view. Like Raph's the only one who kind of gives a shit at this point and runs off to be Moody Raph in his trench coat in the rain. And it gives you the chance to see the Batman origin all over again or get it explained to you again. And it helps move the plot. I get it. But it just was weird how they set it up. How it was such a happy-go-lucky moment after, honestly, in all the comics I've read, one of the more like, oh crap, what do we do moments that you ever see heroes
like, you
in.
know shit's real when Mikey is upset, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I just thought that was the only part in all of this where I kind of went, I don't know. I don't know if I buy it. Because even at a moment like that, the Turtles, even though they're fun teenager, skateboarder, video game playing people, they're still the heroes, and they still have to get back. Like, now they know what they're dealing with, and instead they're like, all right, we'll just order pizzas and skateboard.
So that said, like everything you said is correct, but at the same time, I think that issue might be my favorite issue because you get to just like live in the premise for a little bit. Like you just get to live in a
service pages of
a bit, right? Like you get Batman eating a pizza, like
and him sparring with Leonardo, and Leonardo gets
one over on him.
And then there's Donatello freaking out about how awesome the Bat computer is.
I do thoroughly enjoy the sparring because it does. When Batman originally shows up, he's the strongest, obviously, but this gives at least one of the Turtles the chance to be like, no, we're equals. Don't think Don't think you get to be better than us the whole time.
Yeah, which is important in a book like this.
Yeah. That it shouldn't take all 4 of them all the time just to beat up one person. So that part I get. And of course, you do get the Mikey Alfred dichotomy where the two are the most opposite characters you could possibly ever have. I wish they played into that more instead of just like the 2 or 3 times they talk. That would have been fun. But that being said, I just find it weird that that's when that happened. Like, how come that couldn't have happened prior to
Well, they
that
need to
first
have
big
enough
fight?
relationship, like trust each other enough to have that make sense. Like those interactions need to happen after Bruce trusts the turtles. So I don't know. I don't know where else you would squeeze it where it would make sense because there's
Yeah.
a ticking clock up until that portal explodes.
And I mean, they are also like still monitoring to see if they can find Shredder and stuff. They're sort of sitting there. They're just not doing enough for Raph, basically.
They're gonna die, April. In case they're gonna die.
I feel like when we get to the end of this and we all discuss whether or not you would suggest this, I can think of one person who might say no.
No, I love it. I just don't like
One thing in the book that is overall good. Like, there are things I dislike too, like the Intimidator armor, then like all being
Yes.
turtle colors
Yeah.
and then having a shell on the back of it.
There's a
That's
shell.
a bit much.
It has a shell.
But like, I also know what I signed up for. I picked up a book called Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like, I didn't sign up for Batman not having shell armor.
Right. What did you expect to happen here?
Matt, can you tell me that original Batmobile, is that just for this? Please tell me it is.
Which one?
The first Batmobile.
Oh, no, friend.
Oh, that thing is hideous. Oh
It's
my
not
god.
great.
Yeah,
That thing
I
looks
don't like it.
atrocious.
New 52 made a lot of choices, Ben.
It looks
That-
like a Catmobile and not a Batmobile.
Even Scorpion-esque. Like, it is not well done.
So I do appreciate that this book like lives in both universes really well. Like, it mentions stuff that was kind of going on at the time in Batman. It uses that terrible looking Batmobile. Damian's in it. Like, it's definitely current to the time continuity Batman.
Did Batman and do they in other comics call each other Damian and Father, or is that just to like clear up any confusion for non-Batman readers for this?
No,
one?
they do that in other comics because Damian's a formal little guy.
All right.
I'm looking at that page where like Leonardo's sitting on the bat signal. That was one of my fist pump moments.
Yeah, that is a good moment.
And Gordon's like, you know what? Yeah, sure. Turtles, let's do this.
Gordon's been through so much. That poor man.
Yeah.
I just want to keep my city safe. Yeah.
You can tell he's just exhausted. And then when the turtles show up, he's like, listen, man, I was working with Penguin, and now I just called the Batman. Suddenly there's, turtles here that are talking. You know what? I'm done. I'm just done. I'm just
What if
going to
he
call
just
it a
been
night.
like, no, these Robins are over the top. I'm done with this.
Yeah. That would have been fun.
Oh, I do have a fist pump moment. The first, very beginning of the comic book, the first time we see a full picture of the Batman, and they clearly show you that this is Gotham and nowhere else. Of course, I got the back signal. It's important. But if you look, there's, I don't know, 3 or 4 blimps.
Are there? Oh, there is.
Those blimps.
Look at that.
Okay, alive and well.
Sneak a reference in the show notes.
Bruce Wayne keeping the average
Keeping the
cop
cops down. So that they can't possibly handle mutagen Arkham inmates
So
themselves.
they can't
End of
catch
the book.
can't get to the crime scene before he can. Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Didn't even notice that.
Blimps. It's equals Gotham. No blimps equals Metropolis. That's how you know.
Well, yeah. And the best part is, again, spoiler alert, in the second one, there is one blimp. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh my god.
Nice.
There is one blimp.
Oh my god.
Pretty fantastic.
Great.
Guys, I'm looking through my notes. I feel like we talked about most of the stuff I wanted to talk about without actually going through it in order at all.
No, yeah,
That's the way book club should work, really, I think.
And they do address the ridiculousness of having the T-Rex in the Bat Cave.
That's another bit where Mikey gets to have his own lettering style.
Yeah. Yeah, and to be fair, he does steal a lot of the show with one-liners. The dinosaur scene, this is all I've ever wanted in my life.
Calling Alfred a robot.
The polar bear
so
scene.
lifelike.
Yeah.
The Venn diagram,
Yes.
where he's like, can
is
we
he
all just
cool?
agree that guy is awesome? Unless he's a bad guy, then he's about 45% less awesome. Like, it was.
Or does that make him more awesome? Oh my
God.
Yeah, that's a good scene.
And do you need a hug? Do you need a pizza? Do you need a pizza hug? The hell's a pizza hug? You don't want to know.
That like 45% less awesome or does it line also is just like so 90s. That made me think of like the Green Ranger and Venom and like all those characters in the 90s that were like so badass and then they become good guys because they're too bad, like they're too cool and people want to be able to actually like
You want to cheer for him. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No, there's definitely a lot to be said about Mikey's writing. Just the writing in general. I thought it was really well done.
Pony racers. We didn't even talk about pony racers.
The pony racers. Yeah, those pony racers won't love me like these pony racers did. It's great. It's great.
Man.
So, and I like how we're all like different turtles, and we just keep talking about how awesome Mikey is in this whole thing. That's it. Mikey's the best turtle.
Mikey's probably my second favorite turtle, honestly.
Mikey's everyone's favorite, and you just got like knock it down. Okay, so Mikey, of course, but then your next one.
Then who's your real favorite?
Who's your real favorite? Yeah.
I mean, I just kind of like how in this book, each of them sort of like matches up, kind of. I mean, not especially like exactly, but like each of them kind of matches up to a different aspect of Batman too. Like Leo idolizes his like intellect and fighting skills. Donnie likes the tech. Raph like eventually comes around to
Well, he's got the edge.
Motivation. Yeah.
The edge, yeah.
And Mikey's just like, this is cool. It's a guy in a bat costume punching people.
Yeah, it works surprisingly well as a team up. Like going into it, you think it's gonna be all right, this is gonna be shoehorned in or like put together. But really, you're right, like it makes sense.
Like when this was first announced, I couldn't believe it wasn't a thing that had already happened. Like this should have happened in the 1990s. I don't know how it didn't.
Is this the first time?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not right.
It's absurd, right?
That's not right.
Because it seems like it fits so well.
It does.
And especially, from the story plot point, the way Shredder just fits in as a villain. And I like how Penguin kind of points it out, like, oh, you're definitely a guy who already has his look down. Normally,
he's no stranger than any Batman villain. Like, maybe when we get to Krang, we're talking about some weird stuff for Batman. But even then, like, not really.
Yeah.
They should have tiptoe around Krang. Bebop and Rocksteady,
I mean, Batman fights Clayface, though. Like,
true.
Right. It's not out of the total realm of possibilities.
There literally is Killer Croc in this, who is like the Turtles if they were big crocodile gangsters.
That is true, yeah.
Right. And the fact that Leatherhead is a crocodile metahuman in the turtle world.
Perfect.
From New Orleans just makes sense. The fact that he didn't show up in part 2 kind of ruins my day.
Spoilers.
Oh, yeah, sorry, spoiler alert.
Well, maybe in part 3.
Maybe, I don't know. I haven't got there yet. But, like, from the villain side, because we've talked a lot about the hero side and how well they work together. Shredder and Penguin made more sense, in my opinion, than Shredder and Ra's al Ghul. That just seemed really random. Now, however, the idea of Ra's al Ghul, and Shredder totally makes sense. But I feel like they changed their mind. They were like, oh, wait, no, we should probably use him instead. That would make more sense, wouldn't it? Quick, let's have him grapple into the wrong helicopter.
I feel like you got to work your way up to Ra's. Like, you can't just have Ra's be... Like, Penguin is the first step. Like, he's the guy on the street. He's the one that everyone gets funded by. So it makes sense that Cobblepot would be there. But yeah, Ra's needs to have a build-up. He needs to have an entrance.
Yeah, he does kind of just show up out of nowhere, and he doesn't really have a motivation, other than like he's just going to help Shredder take Gotham because that seems good to him.
Right, and it's like if some dude showing up with a bunch of claws and metal armor and a cape suddenly flies into my helicopter, I'd be a little pissed, to be honest with you. He just sits there like, oh. What's
Well,
up,
no,
dude?
that was Shredder's
I was gonna
helicopter.
say that's
And
Shredder's
Roz took it over.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just an idiot. But even then, I'd still be like, this is my helicopter now. What are you doing here?
Well, I think it's because Roz is the Shredder equivalent in the Batman. Like, if you're gonna have a parallel between those two characters, Ra's al Ghul is Shredder, right?
Yeah,
Like Shredder's
absolutely.
got the Foot Clan and Roz has got the League of Assassins. Like,
Well, to the
it's
point where
pretty.
at the beginning, Batman or Alfred's like, "So it's Ra's al Ghul, right?" And Batman's like, "No, actually."
But ninjas. This are you sure?
Yeah, that was the only other kind of weird thing to me. Like, it just seemed like they could have done a better job of maybe building that up to like the reveal, but it just seemed random.
It felt very Roz to me, but I guess Matt would be the.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I never read a Batman comic.
No, I mean,
So-
I'm more with Tyler. I think in that he kind of like shows up and he doesn't really have a like a plan or like a reason for being there, and that feels very not Raish to me. Like Raish doesn't do stuff just willy nilly. But I mean, Pat is also right in that it makes sense to get them both in the same book, seeing as they're probably the two closest. Like they're the closest characters to each other in those universes.
Yeah, I don't like. I think his appearance made sense to me. I don't think the plot made sense for Roz. They just need to squeeze in every parallel to the Turtles they can, which I think they did, and I think for the most part it worked.
Yeah, I'm wondering like if he even needed to be there, but that's fine.
Well, that's my thing. He didn't really bring anything to the table. All said and done. When it's all over, what, he fought the turtles and that was it? Like,
Yeah, that's the thing. Like the turtle, I was like, oh, it gives the turtle someone to fight in the 6th issue, but like they also could have just fought all the cool Arkham inmates for much longer, and that would have been fine too.
because everything else, plot wise, like we kind of said at the beginning, gets pointed out kind of almost meticulously, because you're like, okay, well, how they just turned all of Batman's villains into animals, but they already answered how they're going to turn back, like how it's just everyone's going to revert back to what they were. So like there's little things that they point out everywhere, and then there's just Ra's al Ghul.
But I mean, the moment that I thought of Shredder in this universe is like, okay, well, Roz is going to show up.
Which I think is why he's there, right? Because this is the book that gives you everything you want, and
You can only have
one.
one secret clan of ninjas at a time, and this universe is only big enough for one of them. Like that showdown was going to happen one way or another. So I don't know. I got what I wanted. Good old Roz.
I think if it were me, if they were going to do it and they knew that they were going to do 3 of these going in, I think you have more insurmountable odds with the 2 of them. I think you really make a push for like this giant army of ninjas kind of being the threat instead of the Arkham inmates. I think it would have been, if you knew you were going to do it. Like if you knew we're going to have Shredder and Raj be the main villains because they're so alike, why not go all in on that?
Because they would have to like work together long term, which, like Matt points out, doesn't make sense if you think about it too hard. They were together just long enough before they broke apart that it's like, okay, sure, I could see that happening.
Yeah, and also from like a meta perspective, you don't know whether it's a Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's probably going to sell well enough that you're going to make a sequel, but if it doesn't, you got everything you wanted in this one book, basically.
Yeah. Like
That's fair.
Reading this, I felt like it has a conclusion, right? Like everyone is where they need to be and no one's going to die and we're done. So I didn't even realize that there were, I mean, I did because it's comic books, but like I don't think it needs more than what it is.
Yeah, I'll give you that. It definitely tells a story A to Z. There's no like loose ends. There's nothing that needs like, ooh, what if this happens? Oh, well, what about what happened there? It does tell a complete story. I just think there was so much room that like, but you're right. You don't know if it's going to sell. You don't know if it's going to take off because it's comic book nonsense where people are like, come on, really? And I just think if it were me, I would have went all in. I would have been like, fuck it, ninjas forever. Let's do this.
Wait until you get to volume 3. The pages that I looked at, like if you want all in, that's the book for you.
Well, and even 2 goes more all in on it. Like, but again,
Because
that's
they know they have a
spoiler alert.
readership at that point. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
for
sure.
we're buying this. Let's do it.
There's definitely more of that insurmountable odds in 2 than there were in this one. This one was definitely a fish out of water story. We got to get back home. Here's the problem. Crap, there's more of a problem. All right, we fixed that problem. Now let's go home.
Yep.
And it's great. It's great from start to finish.
Yeah, so I guess we've talked through like most of it. So we should probably do the would you recommend this book to other people question. Tyler, it sounds like yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Especially coming from somebody who very much reads very particular things. Like, you know, I
Marvel.
read Marvel. And instead I went out and got, you know, a DC IDW deal and love it. Absolutely love it. It helps that I am a Ninja Turtle fanatic. But it's totally a far cry from the other stuff I read, you know. So, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and 10 out of 10 recommend.
And then you said you have read the second one, right? Would you tell me to read the second one? I don't know much about the second one at all. I know more about the third one somehow.
So it changes. The tone changes and the art changes quite a bit. I was surprised at how much it looks different.
Is it a different artist for the next?
You know, I can't remember.
I'm gonna try to look quick.
I mean, I could go get it. It's in my living room.
Because I don't think it is. I thought the same artist was on all of
So
them.
I know the first couple issues are written by the same guy, and then like the last few are written by somebody different. But then he comes back to write the third one.
Oh, that's weird.
And the art it's not like it's bad art. It's just a different style. It just looks different. The coloring is a little different. The story is way more centered on one turtle in particular than it is the 4 of them, which is good and bad. And the villain's pretty badass. So there's that. It's, I don't know if I want to give it all away, but you're gonna have to wait for Waiting on the Trade when I guest host again, and we'll read it. No,
Next one.
yeah. So it's good. It's still entertaining, but it definitely feels more epic on scale than this one did. But I would definitely recommend it. But this one is way better fan service.
Is it the one that has Bane and Donatello like on the cover prominently? Yeah. Okay, because I'm looking at it and like the art's the same in the preview pages at least.
It just looks different to me. Maybe it's the way that Batman looks more, and I think the Turtles have a little bit of a different look, or it's the coloring or something about it. It just looked different to me. Especially once you get to the big epic fight scenes at the end. It seems grander in scale. I think it fumbles a little bit. Just because it doesn't focus on all 4. In this one, all 4 turtles get their moment to shine.
Mm-hmm.
In the second one, they don't. And that kind of ruins it for me. But again, that's another topic for another day.
So you're saying the one turtle isn't Raph?
No, and listen, the plot point for the turtle that they focus on makes sense. But it's just kind of weird that they would just take one when you know you're going to do this team up again, that you would just take one to focus on. When you did such a good job of giving all 4 of them a spotlight in the first one. But yes, buy this one. Buy it, read it, put it on your coffee table for friends to come over and read. And then read it again when they're done. So the first one is fantastic.
Pat?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's lots of fun. I think it delivered exactly what it said, that it was a Batman TMNT crossover. It's great.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, I had a lot of fun reading it the first time, and I had a lot of fun reading it this time. And that doesn't always happen either, where like you look at the thing and you see the joints of it and you're like, oh, that doesn't actually hold up. But like it holds up, and I think a lot of it is just because it's built around fist pump moments, but it also recognizes like where the characters like make sense to intermesh and relate with each other. Like Tyler said, like every single turtle in this book gets a chance to shine and like is themselves, so that's really cool.
Yeah, I think that's the secret weapon in this one, is that nobody outshined anybody at any moment.
Yeah, which is tough to do sometimes.
Because even when, like I said, even the smaller, like Splinter kicks ass when he shows up.
Mm-hmm.
When Casey Jones shows up,
he discovers who Batman is.
Right? Yeah, like he
like
plays
easily.
a better detective. He out detectives the detective.
The turtles break into the Batcave. Like Bruce, what the heck?
This might just be conjecture on my part too, but I think they go like the same way that the dude who broke into the Batcave to frame Batman of murder and Bruce Wayne Murderer did too. I'm not sure about that. I just
cement up that hole, Bruce. Come on.
But yeah, like every little detail was looked at, and so like I said, when Splinter shows up, he kicks ass. When Casey Jones shows up, that page is awesome. When
and then April's there.
Oh, April shows up at the end, which that was literally just fan service. She didn't do anything in this story. Crap. Alfred, for God's sakes, has his moments of brilliance. Like when he pulls out the shotgun and threatens to make turtle stew, which is like a callback to the cartoons, was fantastic. I'm like, yeah, every character in this has their moment. And they didn't have to do that. Even on the DC side, like the Joker, when he's still Joker and not a weird snake with legs. That scene of him in Arkham is just cool. Like, it's just creepy. I like it. And
it's great Joker.
Everybody's got their moment to do their thing. And it's great. It's silly fan service comic book nonsense, and I love it.
Agreed. So when I was reading this, I texted Matt and said, "Wow, this has got me thinking about other crossovers I'd like to see." I said I'd like to see Thundercats with Batman, but can you guys think of any other older like '80s properties you'd like? Has there been a Power Rangers DC cross up?
There has also pretty recently, actually. Like that's a thing that you would have thought happened in the '90s, but didn't until recently. I think it's good. It's written by a really good writer and done by a really good artist. So I'd be surprised if it's not good. We might have to. It's Justice League Power Rangers.
Yes.
Yeah, I could probably get behind that because I liked the Power Rangers as a kid too. And I hear the comics are really good. I've never read one, but I've heard the storytelling is great.
The Power Rangers comics from Boom Studios that started like in the mid 2000s or whatever are super good. I would definitely recommend them.
Is Rita Repulsa in the crossover?
I mean, she has to be. Mike's read it, so we'll have to get Mike on to talk about it at some point.
Because I really want Rita to have like, I don't know, her and like, I don't know, Martian Manhunter or something.
Right now, they did do TMNT and Ghostbusters
as
a comic. So I haven't read it, but you can bet it's probably going to be purchased at some point in time and sent to my house. So I'm not a big, huge Ghostbusters mark. Don't get me wrong. I find the movies entertaining, but just the concept, I'm curious. Again, that's like, fun. How does this happen? What in what world is this a thing? And how does that become a crossover?
See, I just want the snarky scene of Alfred and Snarf. And Matt had the perfect line where it's snarf indeed.
Snarf indeed.
I want it so bad.
It made me think about, I think I sent this to you at some point, Pat, and I think at some point we should probably read it, like that Doctor Who, Star Trek The Next Generation crossover that came out probably a few years ago at this point, if not more. But like, that looked good. It was Matt Smith as the Doctor too, so you know I'm all about it.
Of course.
Yeah, I can't think of any that I am like clamoring to see, but definitely if they were to make a part 4, which they kind of maybe did with the movie, they did like an animated movie, which DC animated movies are always really well done. I haven't watched it, but I'm guessing it's probably just as entertaining.
I think it's adapting this story, actually, the animated movie.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out. But
Is Darkwing Duck and Batman too on the nose?
Probably.
I don't think that. Honestly, I don't know if that would work.
I mean, the secret about Batman is like he works at anything, so you could do it. You'd have to do it well. Like you'd have to execute it as well as you executed this. But
There are so many similarities that would just be hilarious.
I guess if you can put Spider Pig,
Oh
or
yes,
Spider Ham or whatever it was into the
Miles
Morales movie and have it work as well as it did, go for it.
anything
Darkwing
goes
Duck.
at this point.
Yeah, really. But I think Thundercats Turtles would be fun.
Yeah,
I like that
Google
idea.
That quick. See
I
if
just
that's
like-
happened.
That might be a thing.
Thundercats is just so weird, and I love him. So like, toss him into everything.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's a comic yet, you guys. That's okay.
All right, so trademark it right now.
We'll start
That
tweeting
happens.
about it.
We need royalties on this one. We're idea makers here.
Did you guys have any other recommendations for people who enjoyed this book? I was kind of trying to think of like on ramps for people who like the Turtles to get into Batman from this, and then the other way around of like people who like Batman and want to read more about the Turtles to do that. So that's kind of what I framed my recommendations as.
I would watch the movie Turtles in Time. It's got a similar feel of Fish Out of Water, but it's time travel. So yeah, that's what I would do. That's all I got.
Yeah, this one was hard for me to think of something that goes with it, just because it is such a standalone kind of thing that turned into more. Plus, it's just not normally in my wheelhouse to read these publishers.
I mean, if your recommendation is just read the sequels, that's valid.
Yeah, so read the sequels for sure, and then just to get some Marvel in there. As I was looking through comics and stuff, I remembered this was kind of a sleeper hit in my opinion, but it was the Nova comics by Jeff Loeb that came out in 2013. It's the reason I suggest that one is because it's Richard's kid becomes Nova. So it's kind of the start of like this young generation of Miles Morales and Kamala and those ones, and he kind of becomes part of that. And the reason I suggest it is because it's just fun. It's just a fun comic. Like he doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know why he's got these superpowers and all of a sudden, and suddenly he can fly to space. And they just do a lot of funny things that if you were a teenager in school who suddenly had all these powers from space would run into. And yeah, I think it's just a fun little read. Like I said, Jeff Loeb wrote it, so you can't go wrong there.
As long as there's not a mystery.
I was going to say, we have mixed opinions about that on this podcast.
There is a mystery.
Okay. Well,
but it just kind of starts. There's no.
Oh, okay. So it is written by Jeff Loeb.
Yeah.
Is it good or is it cool? It's probably not both.
It's decent. Yeah, I just thought it was fun. It's a fun. Again, it's comic book nonsense, which is my favorite kind of comic book. A lot of times.
Yeah, that's got Ed McGuinness on art, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I like Ed McGuinness stuff.
It's a good team. It's a very good team of putting together something, in my opinion. And I enjoyed it back then. I bought it when it was live. I would go weekly or monthly to the comic book shop and buy it. So definitely that one. It's good stuff.
What about you, Matt?
Yeah, so if you wanted to do this as an on-ramp to Batman stuff, I'd have you follow James Tynion IV over to his Detective Comics run, which starts with, I think it's a volume called Rise of the Batmen. And specifically, I'd have you go there because that is secretly a team book. Like it has Batman on the front of the cover, but it's really like a Bat Family team book with Tim Drake as Robin and Batwoman and Spoiler and Clayface somehow.
Gotta always have Clayface.
Like in the same way that everyone in like all the turtles in this book have their own distinct personalities and get like moments to shine and stuff like that run really gives each of those characters like great moments and arcs throughout it, especially Batwoman. Like it's almost secretly a Batwoman book, sort of. But anyways, it's super good. If you like the way Tynion handled team dynamics in this, you'll like that. And it's got pretty great art throughout. It's got a bunch of rotating artists, but the first one is Eddie Barrows, who has like a less cartoony version of this style, I guess I would say. Probably like you'd be able to see similarities if you squint at it. So like for you, Tyler, if you were like, I want to read more Batman books because Batman was rad in this book, or like you like Alfred or whatever, like that's where I would send you, because that's some good Batman books.
How thick is he though?
How thick is Batman? He's less thick.
That's disappointing.
You guys mentioned that. I didn't know if that was like normal size Batman or not, but
he's so big.
Now I know.
You'd never be able to fight anyone if he was that big. He's like a weightlifter.
Usually it's his cloak that gets big, and not him. But in this one, it's him.
Big boy.
And they added a shell.
And I've heard really good things about the IDW Turtle series that started in 2012. So Tyler, if you're looking to like pick up some more Turtles comics after you finish these crossover volumes, I think that's probably where you want to start. Like especially they get into like a big arc where like Shredder's trying to take over the entirety of New York City called City Fall, which is supposedly pretty good. But like it builds from issue 1 of that series up to that.
I fully plan on it because I didn't know Turtles comics could be this good. And
I read the first issue of that series because I got it for free, and it was good. Like it's something I keep on meaning to go back to and pick up, but there's so many comics that I've never gotten to it.
Yeah, I'm all in on it now. Like I for sure I'm going to get more Turtle stuff. It's funny. I'll send you guys the picture of the tattoo I want to get, and it's a Ninja Turtle tattoo. I had a guy draw it up for me.
Oh yes, please.
Yeah, and I'll send you the picture. It's going to be very expensive and very time consuming, but worst to worst, I paid an artist $60 to draw a really cool turtle picture that I can probably get printed and hang up. But it's supposed to be a tattoo.
Is it all going to be color, or is it just going to be the masks?
Just
the mask. Oh, yes.
That makes sense. I really did dig a lot of the variant covers in the back of this book too, and the ones that are like black and white where it's just the masks that are colored are very good.
So my favorite variant cover, I know it. We're definitely now we're just dragging on at this point.
Bonus material now.
we made our recommendation. Podcast over. Fuck that. We got more to talk about. And I don't know if you have it in front of you, but the number 3 second printing where it's the reflections of them in Shredder's helmet. That's kind of the idea of the tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
Only not as. It's not that. That would be a lot. But that is my favorite one, by far. It's the simplicity of it is so freaking cool. Love it.
Oh, it is a cool one.
Yeah. No, yeah. All in all, good stuff.
Yeah, it's a great book. Thanks for having us read it. It was fun.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. It's always a good time.
So I think that's going to do it for this month's discussion of Batman TMNT. As always, if you want to get in touch with Pat or myself, you can find us on Twitter as @WattPodcast. You can also email us at waitingonthetrade@gmail.com and read more comics-related goodness at mattreadscomics.com. Tyler, where can people find you online, assuming you want to be found?
I need followers and viewers on Twitch, so definitely go there. twitch.tv/mbracer777. And you can find me on Twitter at @TheRealMarifke, and on my Twitch page on Facebook, which here's the fun one, it's MBRacer777 on Twitch on Facebook. So there you go. It's crazy and ridiculous, but you can find me there.
Worry, listeners, you will not have to remember it. I will put links in the show notes.
That's where I am.
Well, thank you again, Tyler, for coming on and for giving us this wonderful book to read. I had a blast.
It was great, Tyler. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.